You're listening to The Real Investment Show.
And welcome back to the show this morning. My wife is 5 months pregnant and so moody that sometimes she's borderline irrational. That's the question. The answer is, so what's your question? Pregnancy Q&A. Our baby was born last week. When will my wife begin to feel and act normal again? When the kids are in college. I can attest to that, by the way. So Retirement Plan 2. Secure Act 2.0, of course, this was a piece of legislation recently passed, and, it's changing a lot of things. It's impacting a lot of different areas of, retirement savings and RMDs and those type of things. It can help a lot. In terms of helping you boost your retirement savings. There's more that can be done, of course. And again, as we were talking about just before the break, we need to rethink the whole retirement savings issue in the country. And again, when you look at, the financial breakdown of the economy, the top 10% of income earners, they own about 90% of the stock market. So when you're talking about their impact and what they have, we look at this thing in totality, right? So we say, we'll look at the retirement savings of everyone as a whole and look at the average savings of everybody as a whole. And so you look at that and you go, wow, it's $165,000. The problem is once you strip out that top 10%, the vast majority of Americans don't have very much saved up at all. Why? Because they really can't afford to save. How, we've talked, it's not just the cost of living that keeps going up, but it's also the fact that we've taken on a massive amount of debt to live way beyond our means. We've all wanted bigger houses and nicer cars and all these type of things. And of course, $1,000 iPhones and, when a flip phone would work, right? We've all upgraded our lifestyle to a level that really is very hard to justify income-wise. And so we have no money left over for savings. So we need to do things and this is what we're talking about before the break. If you want to incentivize people to save more, take the limits off a Roth IRA, right? Let them save as much as they want. And, provide, other tax benefits, et cetera, for saving more money. But again, there's things that we can do, but the more money that we could get people to save, then the less burden we would have on the Social Security, welfare, retirement system later on in life. And then when you need to make adjustments for funding issues like raising the minimum retirement age or decreasing payouts or whatever the eventual solution is, or raising the contribution limit for, over the salaries of $400,000, et cetera, whatever the solution is to fix the Social Security problem is, it won't be as painful if you've allowed people to save more money for retirement. So anyway, lots of stuff needs to be done. But the Secure Act 2.0, Danny, it's giving people the ability to actually start saving more money with some of the new features.
Well, it's setting up businesses to be able to do a little bit more and to automatically escalate savings along the way. And listen, last segment we talked about, $6,500 was the maximum you could contribute to an IRA.
Right.
I don't want to discourage anybody from doing that. Rome was not built in a day. It's brick by brick, step by step. And so, I know it can be discouraging when you hear these types of numbers, but it all adds up. And the younger you start, the better off you're going to be. And now we talk about the hierarchy of savings. Where do you go? How do you do it? And this bill actually has some of that associated with it. So now many of these won't go into effect until 2025. But one of the big ones is that they're going to do an automatic default savings rate of 3%. And so you step into a plan, they're going to require that you save 3% unless you opt out. And I think this will be good for participation rates. Dr. Bernatzi, he's the professor and head of investment or behavior decision making at UCLA School of Management, and he did a lot of extensive studies on this. And so the issue is, what could we do more? And what is the number where you don't impact participation rate? So going back to what you were saying, yes, you could do more, and so they're saying that we should actually boost that up to like 7% because you could do that without everybody falling off, and then you start creating those automatic behaviors. One of the old school rules of investing or just building wealth is set it and forget it. Create it, make it automatic. And meaning that each paycheck, you're setting these funds aside automatically. You pay yourself first. And I think we've gotten way away from that. At least that's what it appears to be.
Well, no, I talk to people all the time, and I get emails from people going, I'm trying to save for retirement, but I just, I don't have any money to save. I'm like, look, if you can't fully fund your IRA, your 401k every year, there's your problem, right? Because again, that money comes right off the top of your income. So if you're making $50,000 a year and you fully fund your 401k plan, that all comes out pre-tax. So when that money comes out of your paycheck, if you actually wind up, you'd be surprised once you start increasing your contribution to your 401k plan, the amount of bring home pay really doesn't change that much because that's coming out pre-tax versus getting taxed on those dollars that you're bringing home. And so the problem is that this goes back to saving the 20% down payment for a house. Yeah. Why can't I save? Well, because you're spending too much.
Well, and things are also very expensive. I mean, we help clients' children from time to time, and look, if you're making $40,000 or $50,000, it's going to be very difficult to put $22,500 aside, right?
It is, but
and save money on top of that.
Correct, and but what I'm saying is as your income increases over time, though, you should be functioning. Look, there's kind of a rule of thumb: you save 30% of your income, right? So and just think about it this way: if $22,000 is my max 401k contribution, I make $100,000 a year. That's if I save $22,000, that's 22% of my savings right there. So I only have to save another 8% of my bring home pay to hit my 30% savings mark, right? So it's not, once you get to the point you can fully fund that 401k plan, you're doing a good job of saving enough money for retirement, provided you've got 20 or 30 years, to retirement. If you're trying to do this at 55, may require more savings. But again, this goes back though, but Danny's right about everything being expensive, but we also have to look at our choices, right? We were talking about this the other day with a lot of the, I was telling this story. I'd gone into a coffee shop and there was a girl wearing a sweatshirt there that says, save a cow, eat the rich. And she's complaining about, this whole, the top 1% and the system's unfair and the rich people have everything, but she's using an Apple computer. She has an Apple phone. She's got Bose headphones that she's using. She's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, complaining about this. And so she's funding all the capital. Oh, and she was driving a Tesla. So you're funding, being green is great. That's nothing wrong with that, but you're funding the rich people, right? And so you're complaining about the people you're funding. But this comes back to the choices. Do you really need a $1,000 or $1,500 iPhone, right? Plus the phone bill every month? Would a cheaper phone do the same thing for you in terms of whatever you need to do? Or do you just want to pay for the cachet of saying you've got an Apple phone, right? We have to make choices if we want to save money. And so the problem is that we don't make those choices, because this is the interesting point. When I have these emails, I start saying, okay, here's what you need to save. And then when we start looking at their budget and you look at where all the money goes, right? It's the Apple phone, it's the the different streaming services, like a whole bunch of them, Starbucks every day, and once you start working through the budget, it is amazing how much money you can save, but you're going to have to start sacrificing some things and thinking about things in a more financially responsible manner. And this is, one of the, people complain about baby boomers having all the money, right? You got to remember, back when I was growing up, we didn't have all this stuff, right? I mean, you earned your income. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers to go buy. We basically saved money because we were outside doing stuff,
Yep.
And we weren't driving fancy cars. We were driving pickup trucks and
Things that got you from
normal
point A to
automobiles.
point B.
Yeah, that was the attitude. And you had a checking account that we had to balance. And to Danny's point, we knew exactly where our money was. And that's why, and of course, baby boomers also have had more time to save. But the point is that the financial responsibility of boomers was better because they weren't being inundated 24/7 with ads on social media, television, everything else about buying stuff, right? Impulse buying wasn't as big of an issue.
We don't watch a whole lot of TV, but we try to watch one show, and we got on a Yellowstone, and then the other one, I guess, we're 1923.
Yep.
And so we're a little bit behind on most of this, but there was a really good scene in one of the episodes where they're walking, they're in downtown, and they're walking, and this guy's selling, these contraptions, they don't know what they are, but it's a washing machine and a refrigerator. And the guy's, this is the future. This is going to give you so much more free time. And, what are we going to do with this free time? We're going to have leisure. And one of them's like, well, wait a second. But then we don't work. So you will sell us the electricity for it. Then we have to rent these products from you. Mm-hmm. So now we don't work for ourselves anymore. We work for you. And that's a great way to look at this. Mm-hmm. Anytime you have this debt, you're working for somebody else because you don't truly own it. If you're leasing, you're renting it, or you're consistently just flipping it, unless you're making money on this, which most people on these types of products, that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the biggest misconception. And, you talked about even going back to the home, people say, well, I made so much money on it. Well, great. What are you going to buy now?
Right.
Where are you going to live?
Yeah, this price has all gone up.
Well, that's the issue. Most people look at that as an investment versus, actual just housing.
Right.
And it's great if you're going to make money on it and you can figure out a way to make money, then turn back and not have to spend as much. Most people can.
Right. And look, money that's made you can make a lot of money in real estate. People have made vast fortunes in real estate, but they're buying property to rent to somebody else, which is where their vast fortunes came from. Again, so just think about, what you buy versus what you rent and own. And again, if you've got plenty of discretionary income and you're saving plenty for retirement, then go buy whatever you want, man. Don't care. That's on you, right? And congratulations, you've done great for yourself. But if you're really struggling to make ends meet, you've got to at least at some point come back and point your finger at yourself and say, it's not the rest of the world's problem. Maybe it's my problem. Maybe I need to start fixing it at home first, and then we can go from there.
Get daily investment news you can use, delivered at the speed of the internet at realinvestmentadvice.com.